Not only is West Virginia looking to bring in one Power 5 assistant coach, it looks like they're going to be bringing in at least two Power 5 staff members to coach under Darian Devries for the Mountaineers. This is Couz.
And I'm Mountaineer Paul.
And we present to you a live edition of
Hoops from the Hills.
What is going on out there, Mountaineer Nation and fellow college hoops fans? We are proud to bring you another live stream. Paul's drink of the day is Body Armor. What flavor are you drinking, Paul, today?
Tropical Punch.
Hey, nothing wrong with Tropical Punch, man. I like it.
It's pretty good, yeah.
I used to like the Tropical Punch Kool-Aid as a kid.
I haven't been able to find, believe it or not. Now, I know all Body Armor is made with coconut water, but I haven't been able to find the coconut flavored Body Armor yet. And every list I look at, because there's rankings, and it's ranked like number one so it must be really good. I want
it. We need to reach out to Body Armor and try to get them to sponsor our show.
Yeah. Hey, look, we can make it happen. I can definitely got some ideas.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about assistant coaches. Also, we did a show the other night talking about Chester Frazier, the assistant from Illinois that looks to be heading to Morgantown. That has not been announced by the university yet. It's not even been officially announced by the media, but it is showing up on message boards and through some sources that we have. Go ahead.
I forgot to say, one source reached out to me and said, just a sidebar, tomorrow is his birthday.
Chester Frazier's? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
interesting.
Maybe being announced on his birthday.
Cool. We already got our first super chat for the show. It's Mr. The Yates 27. Try this again. Missed Paul with my super chat earlier. Thank you, The Yates 27. We appreciate the support.
Did I miss it in my chat? Did you pay and I didn't say something? If it did, man, I'm really sorry. There was 200 people in there. Sometimes it gets. I didn't see it if I did, so I apologize.
You had a good show then.
It was all right. Yeah.
Sounds like good.
Yep.
How did the team do yesterday? Jonathan, we won the championship. We went 3-0, won every game by at least 30 points.
What?
We weren't even tested, to be honest. I was actually my girl said they got bored. So I'm trying to find them a tournament with some better competition. But anyway.
Wow.
The Yates 27 said he sent it too late.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it.
But we do appreciate the support here, whether whether it's this show or other shows, man. We always appreciate everybody's support. But back to the topic at hand, Chester Frazier, all intents and purposes, he's coming. They just probably haven't got the paperwork done yet. Can't make an announcement until everything's signed, sealed, delivered, and it's a weekend. So I'm not sure how much stuff. Which I know they've made announcements on weekends before, but to me, it makes more sense to do it on a weekday. Plus, they've been busy. They've been kind of busy this weekend. They've had a lot of transfers on campus visiting this weekend, so potential transfers, I should say. A lot of portal recruits.
Yep.
So, who knows? Maybe they were trying to get through that and then deal with the announcements. But they did do the announcement about Chester Frazier. Well, let me back up. The university has not made an announcement yet, but there have been media sources make an announcement about Nelson Hernandez coming as the general manager from Oklahoma State. Paul, what are your initial thoughts on Nelson Hernandez?
He's an interesting guy, man. He's got an award-winning documentary out there. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's called Off the Rez, REZZ, about Louisville basketball, women's. A couple players from their team, and it's won multiple awards. Sundance Festival award, a couple other things. It's like a short film. So he's delved into that, which is kind of cool. And that's where I got the picture for our thumbnail of him. He was being interviewed on several major it got a lot of attention. Netflix, like pretty crazy, really. So he's got that. So that you kind of let you know he's a little multifaceted. At Oklahoma State, he was in that job as well, but only for a year. Reached out to a source of mine that said, "Listen, let me just read what it said." This is from Pistols. Pistols Up. It's a let me see. All right, give my guy a shout out. He's a good dude. His name's Marshall Scott, and he is the owner and writer of Pistols Guys. And I've had him on the show before. And I just asked him about him, and he said, "Give me 1 second, I'll find it." He was director of player development, which is sort of a loose term on Oklahoma State staff. Keaton Page used to be it before getting promoted to an assistant spot. Hernandez was an assistant at Fresno State before coming to Oklahoma State University. Earlier in his career, he produced a documentary, which is what kind of got me to look out for that. But so he only did it for a year, so really not really. We would have to go and study some of what Oklahoma State's class looked like last year, and they were a borderline tournament team. And so he was at Fresno State before that. So I think really this is his first big opportunity. With probably, I think he probably has been learning it at Oklahoma State, and it's kind of growing into another position here because he was on the player development side there. It sounds to me like he's probably going to be on the player, let me pay you side here.
Yeah, for everything I'm reading, I was at first assuming that he was basically just replacing Jay Kuntz, which I think he might be, but I'm not sure his role is going to be exactly the same. From what I'm reading
Right.
and hearing, he's going to be more like a Drew Fabianich type, like Drew does on the football team, where he's evaluating portal talent, helping the coaches decide what players they need to go after, those kind of things. Whereas Jay was more or less getting players to campus, helping them with NIL, things like that. I think Nick Norton might be doing more of that stuff based on what I'm reading and hearing, whereas Hernandez may be actually doing more of the, hey, general manager, I'm deciding what players we bring in type thing. But again,
and maybe it all changes once everybody gets here. They say, well, you better suited for this. You're better suited for that.
Right.
Who knows what Darian Devries will do?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody knows 100% for sure yet what his role is, other than the fact he's general manager.
One other sidebar on this, Couz, too, is I've heard somebody label this as a quote unquote Renbaker special, which I found was interesting. As we all know, he has extremely, really good he's very plugged into Oklahoma State, right? Like as plugged in as anybody in the country. And if you look at these last two guys and then another guy that we're looking at, they all have connections there, whether it be
right,
a guy that I've heard, Larry Blunt, or this guy here. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Yep. Larry Metter, man, we thank you so much for the $20 super chat. He says, keep up the good work, man. Larry,
thank you, sir.
We appreciate the support, appreciate the generosity there. And thank you for being on the show.
If it is pronounced Metter, he's got a heck of a marketing opportunity with that last name, Better for Metter. Absolutely.
I like it. We got some people asking about the players. We're actually going to talk about that here in just a minute once we get finished with the conversation about these two coaches. But real quick, I was going to read Nelson Hernandez's profile.
Before we do that, Couz, we're being reminded about the sponsor here.
Yep, let's do that right now. Thanks for the reminder.
Thanks, Steve.
This episode of Hoops from the Hills is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time.
With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for.
Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com, or you can come in person today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
Thank you to Dutch Miller Automotive for supporting all of our work on this channel and our other two channels, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and Couz's Corner. We could not be more grateful to the fine folks, including President Chris Miller and his good folks over at Dutch Miller Automotive Group. And but yeah, I was going to read the profile from Nelson Hernandez. He only spent 1 year at Oklahoma State. Obviously, with the staff changes going on there, they're going through a staff change as well. So he's moving on. He was director of player development, like Paul mentioned, in his first season. He was an assistant at Fresno State. Again, Paul mentioned that for one season, and has more than a decade of Division I experience on his resume, having also served as video coordinator at Utah State from 2010 to 2014 and Clemson from 2014 to 2015, director of player development at Wright State in 15 and 16, and director of basketball operations for both VCU and LSU. And he had those roles between 2016 and 2022. So he's
forgot about
been
the
around,
LSU job.
Yeah, he's been around a lot. He's served it now three different power conference schools. He's served in various roles, so he knows, the ins and outs of about every position on the bench. Don't see where he's been. Okay, yeah, he has been an actual assistant. He was at Fresno State, so he has been an actual assistant as well. So he's done a little bit of everything.
Don't know if he has a playing career or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It does. It gets to that in a minute. He's from Brooklyn, so another native of the Northeast.
Right.
He has his bachelor's degree from Utah State and a master's from there as well. Says throughout his professional career, Hernandez has mentored youth and built relationships to communities and raised the profiles of organizations. Actually, no, it does not say that, Paul. When I said professional, I thought that's where it was going, but it did not say anything about a professional career. So,
yeah.
Unless they just didn't list it, it doesn't mention him playing professionally, but it does talk about the documentary you mentioned. In his profile, so he isn't well known for that. But so be interesting to see exactly what role he feels. Apparently they say he's a general manager. What does that mean on a Darian Devries staff? Obviously, we will see because Nick Norton has the role of player development or personnel director, player personnel, or whatever.
Yeah, and they may both tackle it. It's bigger than one guy.
Right. So. And maybe they both have assistant coach roles as well. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, but the cool thing about this is both of these coaches we're talking about have experience at the power conference level.
Yes, which is big.
Absolutely. So,
because you have to know what it looks like, in my opinion, dude. Like, for instance, those Drake teams were really good. And if you just watch them play against other Missouri Valley teams, you think, gosh, this team can make the Final Four. They're that good. And then you saw against Oklahoma State, oh, shoot. There's so much extra length involved with that Oklahoma or Washington State. They had so much length compared to Drake, in a lot of spots. That's really the only difference is just 1 through 5. Power 5 teams are bigger, sometimes stronger and faster, which is a lot. Yeah. But it still, in its full form in basketball, looks really good at all levels if it plays the right way. I'm sure today your girls look like they can barnstorm anybody at points. It's just so it's what I'm saying. What I mean by this is it takes a trained eye, I think, to know exactly what to put together to Power 5 roster, especially if you spend a lot of time at a lower level. I think there isn't a small adjustment. There would have to be.
Right.
Building the players and stuff,
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And what's cool about it is, even though I don't think Darian Devries' lack of power conference experience will hinder him, I do like the fact that he is surrounding himself with guys who have coached at that level, because we've heard Neil Brown say there is a learning curve.
There is,
because he came from Troy to West Virginia, and he's admitted, hey, I had to learn a lot. This is a whole different ball game here than it was at the Group of 5 level. So, everything's magnified, right, at this level. So, especially a school like West Virginia, where you're basically a celebrity, and everything in the whole state hinges on wins and losses for your team.
So, not even that's even deeper than that, really. What have we been hinging on here this last 3 days, Couz?
Right.
The panic button's been pushed over assistant coaches.
Yeah.
How many fan bases really do that? I mean, listen, on Rivals, they've got a message board that's got like 37 pages of people freaking out over the coaches,
Yep. Agreed. There was also a really good article that WV Sports Now did, Ethan Bach did over there. Most of it is just repeating what I read to you, or is similar to what I read to you from his profile, but at the end he added West Virginia can hire up to 5 main assistants while working on the support staff as well. With DeVries top assistants from Drake taking other jobs, the first-year WVU coach will have to get creative this spring. So now I would assume that the general manager role is part of the support staff, which means he could still hire 4 more main assistants. But now I haven't confirmed that. That's just my assumption.
Yeah.
Is that the way you understand it, Paul, as well?
Yeah, it is,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Well, the names that we're hearing come up, right? We're hearing everything from the guys that are already on staff. You've got Norton, you got Frazier, you got Hernandez, and then from there you hear, we assume Frazier. Then you hear a combination of Fulford and Blunt, and people were questioning whether or not Blunt or Fulford and Blunt. Fulford was obviously he was hosting the 2 Mountaineers, Seth Wilson and James Okonkwo, yesterday at Akron.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought maybe that was his last assignment there, and he was supposed to be coming over here shortly thereafter. This is all rumor at this point, guys. It's nothing in stone here. I'm just telling you, this is how fluid the kind of situation is. And then a guy named Larry Blunt, who's on the Drake staff, been at Oklahoma State, which has obviously been disbarred, right, because of the coaching situation. So he's another guy you hear the name flying around. So it could be Fulford, it could be Blunt, or a combination of both, or a combination of both. There's only 2 guys, or both. So, be looking for those names. And then outside of that, there are other names being mentioned, but not as heavily. So I won't go into those because it just gets to be confusing.
Yeah. Got another super chat from Snow Lord 1999. Thank you.
It's a
He
good
says,
name.
I didn't expect this. Ren Baker is the dog. Wow. Thank you, Snow Lord, for that. We appreciate the support. Chaz Clark says he met Ren yesterday. Super personable and very kind man. Definitely has the best shoe game. We had the same J's on, LOL. Talked b-ball, and he was very excited.
Yeah. That's cool. What J's are they?
Yeah, let us know what do you have on, Jays or Chaz? What Jays did he have on, Jazz?
And you.
And you as well. Yeah. Yeah, that whole Akron thing, that makes me wonder. I mean, if he was hosting them and he was one of the reasons they went to Akron, to me, now maybe I'm reading too much into it, but to me it looks like it might mean he's staying at Akron.
See,
well.
I look at it a little differently. He's the only, because his name's been being mentioned for a couple of days now.
Mm-hmm.
You could be right. I'm just giving you another side to look at. Who they're better to introduce them to West Virginia people, right? Guys that have been in West Virginia, the program coming on in, and also to introduce them to what Akron is like than him. And couldn't you see that being his last thing, last kind of thing he did for them? I'm sure if he was moving on, he'd probably be honest with them during the visit, but hey, this is everybody you'll be working with. Okay, see you later, kind of thing. At least that's what I've been told. Now, I don't know, but I mean, a lot of people think Fulford might be coming, but at the end of the day, Couz, is it more money? Is it less money? And all that, we don't know. Like we said, it's fluid. But I do think, I don't know if they found somebody quote unquote better or not, because there are a lot of people that look down on him as a hire. Some people do, because he was in high school ball for a long time, and I've had one guy call me to tell me that he sucked. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation to see how it plays out. And, Akron, I saw some people, some West Virginia fans on Twitter kind of poking. Akron's making a big deal out of getting Okonkwo and Wilson. And somebody was kind of making fun of them for it. Guys, you got to realize Akron's in the MAC conference, or at least I think they're in the MAC conference. With realignment, I have a hard time keeping up. But they just got 2 Power 5 guys. That's a big deal for them, James Okonkwo came from the University of North Carolina, who played the national title game a couple years ago. So, I mean, that's probably a big
He
deal.
bit
for
off
them.
more than he could chew for that. Well, it's it's obvious that he bit off more than he could chew going to North Carolina.
Yeah.
But at the same time, James Okonkwo would have played a lot for us this year, guys.
Probably.
A lot. He would have probably started the first 9 games, especially.
Yeah.
So, don't give me that. And if you want to talk about Seth Wilson, been the consummate professional with us. Couldn't ask for a better kid, more committed to the program, and he's going back home. And Akron deserves to be excited over that. The comment you're talking about, the guy saying that they act like they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All it was a guy retweeting the picture of, them and their Akron stuff and saying, basically, they were talking about how excited they were. I don't understand the hate. Some people just are delusional on that app. I just are.
Yeah. and they also love to, when they're sitting behind a burner account, they love to talk trash about people when they can't be.
Yeah, I try not to harp on the burner account too much, but it goes overboard with them.
And not all of them do that, by the way. Just to point it out, some of the burner accounts are cool, and but some of them use
some
it
are
as
like Trilly.
Some use it as a way to kind of get away with saying things they probably shouldn't.
We got a couple super chats here.
Yeah, the Yates 27. We thank you for the super chat. He says there was concern about the roster and staff, but I think DeVries' brother is right. Little to be concerned about under Darren. I'm excited for the future. Thank you, the Yates 27. I agree. I mean, Dusty made a point to let us know that, hey, Dusty being his brother, hey, he's taking his time. He wants to do things right. He has a strategy. He's done this before. It's not his first rodeo. He's had to put together full staffs before. He loses coaches every year. He lost coaches every year at Drake. So hiring coaches is not new to him.
He asked me a question today. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a lot of connections in the industry. As does Ren. So between the two of them working together, I'm sure they're going to get some good coaches. You want to elaborate on it?
It just kind of made me chuckle. He sent me a text today. He said,
I can't see it. He says West Virginia's still in panic mode or something.
Yeah. He said, is West Virginia still in panic mode? That's what he sent to me today.
Yeah.
It cracked me up, because that was the narrative for a couple of days, right?
Yeah, it was.
Panic mode over assistant coaches. It's the craziest thing. Only us, man.
Rodney Ross, thank you for the super chat. He says McCabe needs to be hired. And maybe he will be. We don't know that. Again, he still has to hire at least 3, maybe 4 assistant coaches still.
Heard Frank Young's named too, Couz. Have you?
Really? I have not, but that'd be an interesting.
Yeah.
Where's he been? I know he's been an assistant somewhere. Do you know where it's been? I can't remember.
Yeah, but you caught me off guard with the question, Couz, to be honest.
No worries. I'll look it up real quick. Unless you're doing it already.
Yeah, I got you right here. Let's see. App State, that's right.
Okay. Got it.
He's my age. Not as good looking as me, but he's my age. He's 39. Frank the Tank by West Virginia fans, it says in his Wikipedia. That's kind of funny that they remember that. But Young was commonly referred to as Frank the Tank by West Virginia fans, it says. But it's hard to believe that it was, what was it, 05, 6, 7-ish when he was here. It's hard to believe it's been that long ago. Okay, let's see. What's he been doing in his coaching career? Following the end of his career, Young entered the collegiate coaching ranks. After stint on the West Virginia Wesleyan and North Florida staffs, Young accepted an assistant coach role at Presbyterian in June 2017. On April 18, 2019, he was named an assistant coach at App State by the new head coach Dustin Kearns, who Young served under while at Presbyterian. So it sounds like he's really connected to Kearns.
Good.
And I mean, look, the reputation they have is really good right now. I mean, Kearns is about the only big time coach that was being talked about that didn't get another job this cycle, isn't he?
One of them for sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
And with this Kentucky domino, who knows what will happen now?
Yeah, that's
With
going to.
Mark
Yeah,
Pope.
that could definitely affect some things for sure. Yep.
Well, it's the very top. It's the literal top. Like Kentucky's number one.
Did you see
So-
how many people were at his press conference today?
It's insane.
They actually they basically filled every seat in the arena
They did.
for a press conference.
Did you see the Ohio State Buckeyes?
They rode a bus
game?
in. They rode a bus into the building.
Well, let me ask you this, Couz. Do you think if we hired, let's say, who's a good one, Pat White to coach the football team, similar, not the same, do you think we'd fill up the stadium welcoming him?
Probably not for the press conference.
Don't think so?
No.
I think we could if we marketed it right.
Maybe. But I mean, I thought I was under the impression that most Kentucky fans didn't like the hire.
Not what I've seen. They've all been pretty happy with it.
Okay.
I mean, they're sour over the reputation hit they took by all those misses.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. It's just that maybe they're starting to realize now that the portal has actually created a little more parity than people realize.
Yeah.
Because what it's allowing people to do is people are forced to go scout the Division II and junior college levels and find really good players.
Right.
And they are, and so players that may have been overlooked up until then are now being placed on Power 5 rosters and doing well. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but yeah. Anyway, Kentucky basketball is a religion over there. I live literally 5 minutes from the bridge, Kentucky Ashland Bridge here.
Yeah.
And it's, that the Walmart that I go to down there, it sells all Kentucky stuff, nothing else. Not any Ohio State, which is 5 minutes away, or Marshall, which is like 10 minutes away. It's all UK.
Yeah.
No Louisville.
Wow. But yeah, got a question in the chat about Sharon Young, Paul. You and I were actually talking about this the other day. What is the difference between the kid from Tennessee that West Virginia got a commitment from, KJ Tenner, and Sharon Young, the Morgantown kid who's going to Akron? What are the differences in their game?
Couple things. Well, in their game.
Well, not just in their game, but overall. Everything.
I was going to say, if you're just asking straight up what's the difference and why would Coach Devries maybe choose one over the other, simply just relationship, right? That's number one. Number two, Tennessee's a much tougher basketball state than West Virginia is. West Virginia has good basketball in the state, but it's definitely not as good as Tennessee's is, which is really good. It's not top 10, but it's definitely right there in the top 20-ish range. West Virginia's basketball and football have always been in the bottom 10, right, in America, unfortunately. Now, recently in football, I'd make an argument it's made a huge jump. Anyway, so that, some people just don't. I know Sharon Young is good, but unfortunately, if you don't know who he is, and until you get to watching some of the players in West Virginia, it's just people unfortunately judge that. I think that plays a part. But in their game, Sharon Young's a more explosive athlete than Tenner is. He's explosive off the dribble. Love his game, man. And listen, going to Akron is nothing to sneeze at right out of high school. Still D1. You could be playing in the Final Four next year. You never know.
Right.
So Tenner is a walking, talking bucket. He really, truly is. He's extremely crafty. He's not overly athletic, but he does have short area quickness. He's good from 20, 22, 23 feet out. On the 3-point side, he's got a really good step back game. He usually uses his left hand on that, though. So if he's a right-handed player, he likes to dribble with his left, use the right foot to push off with the step back, so that he's got that left pocket right here, so you can just bring it right up. So he does that really well, and he got a really great crossover off of that he loves to use. So he'll do the step back, come up with the head fake, and then come under with the cross, and it's really good. And he's got a floater game out of that package that he just absolutely went with. He can go from the free throw line. Now, part of that is not a necessity with Tenor because he is amongst the trees and he's a smaller guy.
He's about 6
So,
foot. Yeah.
yeah, so he has to really teardrop those in, and he's gotten really good at it. Hope that's a good enough breakdown for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you mentioned his mid range and well, I mean, mid range and outside game, but I was impressed with his ability to get to the rim as well. He uses that burst that you talked about, that short area quickness to get by people, and he has a nice little floater that he uses, and then he's got that. When he does get amongst the trees, he's good at using his body to score around them. So, but yeah, I mean, he's a walking, like Paul said, he's a walking bucket. I do think it'll take him. I don't think he's a kid that's going to come in and maybe I'm wrong, but he doesn't seem to me like a kid that's going to come in and probably see a lot of minutes in year one. I think it might take him a year or two to be ready for the speed of the game at the Power 5 level, but maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. But I don't know. We'll see. But I do like the kid. I think he's very talented.
Me too.
Perry says he traveled 167 miles to go to the.
I thought that was interesting.
That's dedication, man. That's awesome stuff. Civil Mark, West Virginia. He said, "Thank you for the super chat." He says, "Paul, please check your email. Keep up the good work, guys." Yeah, he said he sent us a meme or something that we would probably both like.
You know, Mark, I appreciate the money there, but you could have just sent that as a regular comment, man. I would have saw it.
He did earlier.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't get to it. I saw
I apologize.
That's okay. It's hard for us to address every comment. And they understand that. The Yates 27 has a super chat as well. He says, "Can you roast people who said Wren was a bad hire?" I've tried. I got so tired of arguing with people, I've just given up. The Yates 27. And most of those people are on Facebook.
This is awesome. This is so awesome.
What the heck is that? Is that Darian Devries? Is that my face on Darian Devries' picture?
Yes, it's the best thing ever.
That's hilarious.
This needs to be our new logo. Oops in the hills.
I'd like to know where he got that picture because I don't wear that hat very often.
He's went sleuthing on your Facebook.
It's either that or I've worn. I think I've worn it on a couple episodes of Couz's Corner, so maybe he got it off of that. That's funny though.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That was worth the $10, Mark. I'll give you that. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, everybody please hit the like button for us. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure your notifications are on. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, it'll notify you of future uploads and future live streams. But if you don't have notifications on your phone, and that's what you use, then you're not going to get it. So make sure you have your notifications on if you want to make sure you keep up, with our episodes. Man, this caught me by surprise. I also drove 7,900 miles to WVU basketball games, including driving to Cleveland and Kansas City. Wow.
That's got to be, is that a typo?
Maybe he means total.
Yeah.
Like round trip, both trips round trip. Because Kansas City and back's, but maybe it still may be a. I mean, you can drive across the country. It's not even 7 and back, and it's not even 700 miles. I think it might be a typo, unless he's talking about like his mileage driven for like a whole season or something. I don't know. Maybe he can clarify. But yeah, but back to the Yates' comment. Yeah, you're allowed to roast people, and I've done it a few times myself. To think Wren's a bad hire because I just don't see how you can even think that, to be honest. Yep, and congrats to the West Virginia baseball team for sweeping UCF in that series. That was massive. I saw Mountaineer J-Dub posted on Twitter earlier, and he's that guy follows West Virginia baseball as close as anybody. He said that West Virginia is now 28th in the RPI for college baseball, and I think they were like 60th going into the series. That's how much they moved up by sweeping that series.
You've been ranked team 3 games in a row. It's pretty damn good, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He said he was Chaz. You were talking about the differences in their game. To me, Sharon Young's a much better passer. If you want to talk about a difference, Sharon Young way better passer than Tenor. And I'm not saying he can't become that, but he averaged 6 assists a game in high school. So they're really similar players, though. Like if you're trying to find a difference in them, it's hard because they're really similar players. They're both going to play 1 or 2. Mostly point guard though for both, you know. So to me, it's basically the passing, and Sharon Young has really showed a nice rebounding ability at the guard spot too. So if you want to go with like a difference between
them. Yeah, when Curtis Dean brings up a good point, they did offer a 2025 4-star guard, Caden Magwood, last night. So that's a big offer. So he's DeVries is now starting to ramp up his high school recruiting too. It looks like, which is good.
Who was it?
Caden Magwood, a 4-star guard, got an offer.
Okay. That's a first for me. I haven't heard that yet.
I saw it on Twitter earlier, but I think it's while you were doing your live stream on your other channel. So that's probably why you didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he's out of Oak Hill. Well, that's right on the border. Okay.
Oak Hill, what?
Virginia Academy, right there.
Oak Hill Academy. Yeah, I know where that's
at.
I'd actually have a client in that area, so I know exactly.
I think it's
mouth of Wilson.
Wilson, yeah.
Mouth of Wilson, right on the North Carolina line. Yep.
Yep.
It's only about an hour and a half from where I live to there, so I know exactly where it is. But if he's at Oak Hill Academy, he's a good player. You don't usually go there unless you're good.
He's got an incredible rating on 247.95.
Wow. 4-star.
Yeah, he's got a 90 on
Rivals.
No, I'm sorry. That's both 247.
What's his composite?
9.5.
Okay. So they gave him a 90, but his composite's a 9.5. That's interesting. That means Rivals must have rated him higher.
Yep. His offer list is really interesting. West Virginia, Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston, George Mason. Let's see if there's any more. Okay, here we go. Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, Illinois, Louisville. Okay. Those make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch any of his highlights or anything, but since it's just an offer, I don't get too excited about it yet until they commit. Now, if they put us in their final 5 or final 3 or they commit, then I get more excited about it.
Oh, speaking of players, Couz, I guess on Attenwright and Enright, it's hard because they both have the same basically last name, right? Right and Enright. It's almost like Dumb and Dumber. You know?
Yeah.
It's exactly like Dumb and Dumber, actually, Right and Enright. But so most people I've talked to expect them to commit. It's not official. Anything could change. But it's very expected for them to come. Now, Overton is not coming. He's included us out of his top 3. He was always going to be closer to home, guys. It seems like that was the most important thing. Somebody that I trust said also, we think he may have gotten into a price range too that maybe West Virginia wasn't interested in being. And it sounds like Drake is really pulling out all the stops to get him back because they're in his top 3. Along with Oklahoma, Texas, or Texas
Texas
Tech,
Tech.
right?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be difficult sledding anyway. Okani, unfortunately, is going to be moving on to LSU. Don't know if he'll commit or not yet. I haven't gotten any news on him at all. Have you, Couz?
I have not. He was there this weekend, though.
He was there, covered up in a hoodie during the baseball game. He wasn't even. It's like he didn't want to be photographed or something. Maybe I'm looking into it too deeply too. But
Now, you say he's on to LSU. You mean he's visiting LSU?
right.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you meant he was committing to LSU at first.
No. They said yesterday he was going to visit LSU. So
Okay. Yeah, that
that's
makes me
usually not a great
not a good
sign.
sign. I agree. Usually these transfers, what I've noticed is typically when they find the place they want to be, they commit.
That doesn't
Not
mean he
all.
won't, though. I mean,
No,
he can.
no,
So
it's not 100% of the time. But a lot of times the transfers don't take as many visits. They find a place
to
they
be
like to lock
honest,
in.
if you're going to give somebody good advice, though, if you're on his side of things, that's what you tell him he should do anyway, right? You should take all the visits that you want
Of
and then
course.
make a decision. So maybe he's just getting sound advice and choosing to do that. Now they signed the kid from UT Martin that we wanted also. So if he goes there, I'll be following LSU really closely this year, just kind of as a what if
Mm-hmm.
scenario there to see if those two had a major impact. Because Sears was, to me, I really wanted him bad, and I'm talking about $750,000 bad is what I would have gave. Unfortunately, he went to LSU. Who knows what for? But this kid had Steph Curry range, man, and I wanted him so bad.
Mm-hmm. Perry clarified his round trip to all home games, plus his trip to Cleveland, round trip, plus his round trip to Kansas City and back, totaled 7,900 miles. So that makes sense. That's a loyal fan right there, Perry.
Yep.
Gamecock Chuck, to answer your question, my team won the tournament yesterday. We were 3-0, won the tournament, and we won every game by at least 30. We're playing again next Saturday, hoping to be I'm hoping my girls get a little bit more challenged. We're playing in a bit bigger tournament with more teams, so hopefully there'll be a little bit more. We could even, might even mean we lose, but the girls, our point of doing it is to get them better. So it's hard to get better when you're playing against teams that you're blowing out. So,
Jazz, on this here, I'll give you definitely Chase Harlan. Although it would have been interesting to see what contribution he would have given us had the COVID season not happened, because he was a really big part of that team that year. But Nathan Adrian is a legend, and to say that it would be better than him would be like, that means he'll be in Akron. He'll be the best player on the team. To me, Nathan Adrian was an elite defender, extreme effort, 100% at the time. And turned himself into a really good offensive player too by the time it was all said and done. And I would start him on every team that we've ever had. I love that kid. He was just, to me, he's a West Virginia athlete personified. I'm not saying Sharon Young won't be all those things, but it's hard for me to put him over Nate Adrian at this point.
Yeah, I think he just means he's a better player at this stage, in his opinion, than what Nate was.
Right. I got that. I was just really wanted to get on my Nathan Adrian soapbox.
I got you. You just disagree with that, and that's fair. I don't really have an opinion because I'll be honest, I don't study the recruits in basketball on the basketball side as much as Paul does, so I don't remember much about Nate Adrian at the time when he came out. So it wouldn't even be fair for me to give an opinion. What I saw a comment on where's it at now? The 7-2 center from Kentucky that's in the portal. Do we have a chance at him? We do. Do we have a chance?
Is it a question?
Yeah, he's asking. Yeah, they're asking if we have a chance at him.
it's gonna be tough, man. You know, for the money, maybe. But like we're talking about Kansas, UCLA, UConn. Everybody wants him. So we would have to pay $1 million probably or more for him. Maybe not quite that much. He only averaged 5 points a game, but everybody knows he's going to be an NBA player and a star. So, and then you've got to beat out Calipari in Arkansas. So, if it comes down to bidding war, I don't like our chances. If it comes down to fit, love it. Because he's exactly what the kind of player DeVries needs. He needs a 5 that can guard. This guy can guard. He can guard the rim. You look at his Kentucky stuff last year. But he's also the modern 5 that can shoot it from way out. So he's an incredible three-point shooter. So, yeah, we'd love to have him. Don't feel great about it. Haven't heard anything yet.
Good comment from Chester. Isn't it great? The hype surrounding basketball and football. Winning is a great feeling, but all of us needed some hype. LOL. It gets me through the day. Thanks, guys. Definitely needed the hype, man. It's a good feeling as a fan to have it, for sure, especially after last season in basketball and the previous years before that in football. Up until this year, obviously. Jeremy says that Magwood offer has Chester Frazier written all over it. His last 2 tweets are about Magwood. Interesting. Good, very good observation, Jeremy. I like it. The assistant from Illinois comes is that he step up or lateral move. I think it's more of a lateral move. I guess you could say. And I wanted to mention too, if he comes, the Illinois assistant, which looks like he's going to, he's likely going to be taking a pay cut to come to West Virginia. So, because he was making about $600,000. The assistant from Illinois may be taking a pay cut to come to West Virginia.
Why you say that?
Because he was making about $600,000 in Illinois, and that's plus I read it on a message board.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I've heard the opposite, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe you're right, but I was told that he's going to be probably like an associate head coach. So,
well, he probably will be, but I don't know that West Virginia's going to be able to pay him what Illinois was paying him.
They got 1.5 to shell out.
Yeah, but they've got to divide that between 4 coaches plus staff.
Right. Yeah, and like I say, I was told they're right around 7 for him, but at the end of the day, who knows what he's going to get paid? I don't have it in writing to look at. It's such a small thing, anyways.
I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere in the 6 to 7 range. I don't remember the exact number, but after incentives and everything else. But the number I do remember is I'm pretty sure they said that they would have about $500,000 total to shell out for the rest of the staff, basically. Once they hired him, plus Nick Norton that they've already brought in. This didn't even include the. I don't think it did. I don't think it included the GM hire.
Well, you and I know what Nick Norton got, so
yeah,
that's
$150K.
Well, I didn't know we were
plus incentives
out there. Oh yeah, it's already been written, hasn't it? I forgot.
Yeah.
Right.
It's public.
Yeah. So
it's in the public because it's a public school, so they put it out.
Right. I just didn't know if I forgot it had been released already.
Yeah, it has.
I get so used to people telling me not to say stuff.
I get that.
We found out before it happened,
Plus, I think we talked about it already on the last show.
Okay. But I just try to be careful with it. But
I'm glad.
So that's only 150. That's pretty good.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I know that they were supposedly going to be able to reach down a little deeper if they had to get to get, if it takes it to get a coach.
Well, like I mentioned we mentioned in the last show, I mean, they were paying Bob Huggins $4 million plus a year. And they're only paying, and I say only, they're paying DeVries 2.8. So they've got that to play with, plus maybe a little more.
Don't quote any of the prices or numbers you're hearing here yet, Jonathan. Just wait till they're reported because who knows.
This is all speculation and going off, and I'm going off of memory too from stuff I've read. So,
I've just
I'm
had one person tell me, and it's not much different from what he's saying here. So
it's 500,000. The 500,000 number I gave is a speculated number, but basically for 4 coaches and staff. So it actually makes sense if you do the math.
what?
500,000. I mean, that's 125,000 a piece for 4 assistant coaches. That's probably about normal, right? At that level.
It's a little low compared to, depending on who you're comparing yourself to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we'll see.
The
see
top half of the Big 12 pays better. You know what I mean? That's what
we'll see if that number comes to fruition or not. Again, I'm going strictly off memory and off of speculated numbers.
It very well could. I'm not denying it and saying it won't. I just had one person tell me another number, and that don't mean it's going to happen at all. You know, we'll see.
Yep. Couz for assistant coach for $100K a year. Man, it'd be an honor, but trust me, I'm not qualified. I'm coaching 9th grade girls in travel ball. But I appreciate the compliment. The previous assistants on top of the difference between Hugs. Yeah, but I mean, the previous assistants were making, I don't remember what their overall salary pool was, but
wasn't a lot.
No, it wasn't. They had one of the lower, they had one of the lower assistant pools in the league. It's my understanding.
And Huggins was making a ton of money.
Yeah, because they were just so loyal to Huggins that everybody wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
it sounds like complacency a little bit, doesn't it?
Do you remember what Hugs' assistant coaches were making total?
It was like, I want to say it was somewhere in the range of like maybe $1 million. It wasn't like somewhere in that range, you know, like
Gotcha.
We know Jay Kuntz made what he made, which is unbelievable. I'd have to look back into it, but I thought that was a number I'd heard. It was
that sounds about right. So that sounds about right. I think obviously each coach didn't make the same amount, but you had a few making $100K, you had some making $200K, you know, so it varied in that range. So that's probably $1 million's probably about right. And I think you had the associate head coach making $250, $300K, maybe, whatever it was. Yeah, Larry Harrison, I think, was making about $300K. So, but at the end of the day, $1 million sounds about right. But again, don't quote us on that.
Yeah, I'm sure
I'm sure that's public knowledge, public information that's out there somewhere. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Harrison's probably at the top end of around $300K, and then go ahead and divide it, and probably right around, probably around $150K and on down from there. But it wasn't great. And this last staff this year, Eiler staff, they really didn't make a lot.
Yeah, Anthony Perry just put that he saw that McCabe and Butler were making about $130,000. So
right, that's what they were making
each.
I'm assuming.
Yeah,
that's actually not bad, Kitty, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we do.
Charles, 77 likes.
Charles, I basically just run a 4 out, 1 in, I don't know. It's really more of a 1-2-2 type old fashioned offense, but I don't really run off. I just tell my girls, look, make sure you have good spacing, make sure you move the ball, make sure you move without the ball. If you do that, I don't think you need to run a quote unquote set offense. And they do pretty good at it. I've got a point guard that's really good at running the team, and my girls are good at spacing the floor. And it's more like a 4 out, 1 in type deal, really. Because I got one girl who, it really depends on the lineup I have in there, honestly. But the lineup I normally play, I've got four guards and a big. So I run more of a 4 out 1 in type. But again, it varies. But
you got a pretty easy offense to learn that maybe we could talk about sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm always looking for ideas. Motion, Bill, exactly. 4 out 1 in motion, and that's all I do. I don't like getting too complicated with it, man. I think a lot of coaches, this is my personal philosophy, I think a lot of times you have a tendency to make it too complicated, and they're so focused on where to go, what to do. Just play basketball, man. If you play basketball and you do it the right way, you can be successful. And with offense, to me, it's all about spacing and moving without the ball, taking good shots. And that's just that's what me and my assistant coach, that's what we stress. And they're pretty good. They've gotten pretty good at it. And but yeah, and on defense, I run a 1-3-1 as my main defense. And then I will switch into a man or a 2-3, depending on my personnel and the team we're playing, and just, obviously what's going on in the game. And we do have a pretty good little full court diamond press we like to run some too.
Yeah. I have a pretty cool base offense that I remember from high school, actually, that still would be kind of fun to run, but it wouldn't work in college or anything like that. But at the high school level, it's still pretty good,
Yeah, I'm always looking for new ideas because, there are times in games where your players want to stand around and they get concrete feet. That's what I like to call it. And they don't want to move. And if you can run a set or a play for them, it gets them moving. And I do have about 3 or 4 sets that I run. If we need to run a set, if they're getting too complacent, I will start running some sets. But I normally don't have to. Yeah, Shannon, when I played basketball, man, I had coaches occasionally that just that we'd spend our whole practice running plays, man. And it's like, and we'd get in a game and we still couldn't do it right because we were it was so detail oriented. You had to be at a certain place at a certain time. And it's like, man, just let us go play ball. And I think we'd have been, and then about halfway through the season, he just scrapped it and just started running motion. We started winning, And that right there taught me this game's not that hard. It's not that, or it's not that, let me back up. It's not that complicated. It's hard, but it's not complicated.
Right. Yep, I agree.
And that's it, and that's my approach. I see coaches out here drawing up all these fancy sets and plays. I don't get into that, man.
Depends on the buy-in, really.
Yeah. I just go play ball and do it the right way and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, I just mean there's nothing wrong with that, fancy sets and stuff, if you've got enough buy-in to be able to teach it,
Correct.
But it's got to be second nature to them, like you were saying.
And we don't get enough practice time. Relate. And we don't get enough practice time and I hate to get off on this side tangent, but we don't get enough practice time to work on a lot of that stuff. I mean, I only get about 3.5 to 4 hours a week of practice time. And I would rather develop skills and scrimmage and, you know what I mean, than spend all of my time running plays. That's just my opinion.
Where is this coming from, Zach? Just curious. Is something released?
I think he looked it up. Is that at Illinois, Zach, or is that what he's going to get paid at West Virginia? Jonathan, he's moving to Morgantown. Well, awesome, man.
Awesome, man.
We'll love to have you in West Virginia. Got to get my season tickets. Are you originally from West Virginia, Jonathan, and moving back home? I'm assuming that's the case. Yep. Shannon said he just believes blocking and tackling wins games. But
actually, you know what, Couz?
What?
It has been reported in the media about Frazier.
It has? By who?
Illinois outlets.
Really? Interesting. They've reported it, but West Virginia hasn't? Huh.
That's the Daily Illini.
Now, maybe somebody in West Virginia has reported it, and I've just missed it, but I haven't seen it reported anywhere.
It hasn't been reported. No, it hasn't been.
Huh. That's weird. West Virginia is so – maybe it's a Coach DeVries thing. Maybe he's just not putting it out there yet. It might be because he's so dang busy with these players on campus and stuff that he just hasn't had time to write it up yet. It might just be
Yeah.
a formality.
This was a good article to read, Couz. A lot of info in here. I know it's late, the game now, but
No, that's all right. What'd you say? We still got 200 people on here. What'd you say the name of the Daily Illini?
yeah,
Let's do it. All right, here we go. I'll just go ahead and do a quick screen share. We'll do it that way.
yeah.
All right. Chester Frazier is leaving Brad Underwood's staff at Illinois to become an assistant coach. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Hold on. It's a little too small. Maybe that helps some. Chester Frazier is leaving Brad Underwood's staff at Illinois to become an assistant coach for West Virginia after 3 years in Champaign, according to sources close to the team. Frazier has been an assistant coach for the Illini since the 21-22 season and previously coached at Kansas State and Virginia Tech. Frazier has been a strong recruiter for Illinois, bringing in recent talent like redshirt sophomore guard Sincere Harris and rising sophomore forward Amani Hansberry. This departure was not entirely unexpected for the Illini due to rumors around the coaching staff and recent decommit Jace Butler. Not entirely unexpected due to rumors around the staff. Interesting. Frazier's relationship with several players was notable, and similar to Butler, multiple sources around the program have forecasted Hansberry's departure as well. Both are Baltimore natives. Frazier was a major reason Hansberry left the East Coast. So I got a good feeling we may end up landing the Hansberry kid.
5-star player.
Before entering the coaching field, Frazier played 4 seasons for Illinois men's basketball from 2005 to 2009. The guard earned Big Ten All-Defensive Team honors in 2007 and 2009 and joined the Illini as a defensive-minded assistant. He also served as a grad assistant during the 2010-2011 season. In between the 2 years, he played professionally overseas. Illinois now has a coaching vacancy and 3 open scholarships or more, depending on if any current players decide to transfer, to fill before the 24-25 season begins. Interesting. And did he ever comment whether or not that salary was at Illinois or West Virginia?
I have to think.
Honored to have you in here, Jared. Appreciate the comment, my man. Jared Devries is in the house on X.
Appreciate you, Jared.
For those of you who don't know, he's the brother of Darian Devries, also a former NFL player for the Detroit Lions. Is that right?
Yep.
I didn't want to get that wrong.
12 years, never played for another team.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Jared, he says, you boys drink a few cocktails. I got the first round.
Appreciate that, Jared.
Thank you, my man. Leslie Roberts is someone I hadn't seen, and I meant to address her earlier, or I guess it's a her. It's a female. Looks like a female in the picture. Am I looking at it right? I don't want to offend anyone here. But Leslie, we thank you. I don't remember seeing you in the chat before, so thank you for joining the show. If you've been in before and I missed you, I apologize. She says she's from Parkersburg. She's talking to somebody in the chat, but I just wanted to recognize her for being part of the chat. We don't get a whole lot of women in the chat, so when I get one, I like to recognize them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're about 96% male-dominated field here, so. Omaha Bill U. I haven't heard a word about him, Anthony. It looks like it's probably not going to happen at this point, but I don't really know. Have you heard anything?
No, nothing yet. At the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where we haven't heard much news about anybody, right? So I wouldn't count it out. That's all I'll really say.
Yeah. Good point.
But at this point in time, I haven't heard a word, really.
Yeah. Jared says he can't wait to get to Morgantown.
Hey, man, we can't wait to have you down here. And maybe me and Couz or something, we can meet you and we'll get into something. I already told Dusty we'd meet him as well. So, by the way, Dusty said he was smart enough not to wrestle with you when you guys were growing up. I thought that was funny. Dusty was a good guy. I really like Dusty too.
Yeah.
Oh, and another guy, Jay Devries, followed me today. How many Devrieses are there? I just want to know because
It's a big family.
I messaged him. I said, "Are you another one of the brothers I need to bring on?"
Hey, you know what's I've noticed lately on our Hoots from the Hills Twitter account? I've been getting a lot of follows from people connected to Drake or the DeVries family or the state of Iowa. You know, those connections. So I find that pretty cool.
Hey, look, we can add them. Let's do it. I'd love to have some Iowa people in here.
Yep. He says there's 5 of them.
And it looks like we got 3 more episodes to do.
Yeah. They have. I do remember Dusty mentioning they had a sister. So
Yeah.
Civil Mark West Virginia says we should do a Hoots from the Hills home game. See how many members would show up. I'd love to, man.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest fear doing one of those is that I do it and nobody shows up. That's like my worst nightmare.
He said
Jared says, "We coming, baby. We coming." Dion ain't the only one that can use that phrase, right?
Yep.
Perry says Deshaun made $97,000. Really? That's surprising. I thought he made more than that. But he did get a year of experience under his belt, so that means something.
Yep.
D. Johnson made $247.
Couz,
Eric Martin made $152. Thank you, Perry, for putting all that in there, man. I'm sorry I missed it. What was you saying?
If you want to hang out a little longer, you feel free to. But I need to get some of my medicine. My blood pressure.
Yeah, that's good. No, I don't really have anything else to say, man. I'm good. I think we've covered everything.
Okay.
It's getting late anyway. Tomorrow's a school day and a work day, so probably need to call it quits.
Yeah. I don't want.
Yeah,
I really don't want to. But
it's good. It's all good. We can't do it forever, right?
My head's stumping. Yeah,
I get it. Well, listen, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us in the chat. We appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit like as you go out if you haven't yet. If you're watching this on the replay, the likes still help. The shares, the subscriptions, all that, it still help us. So don't forget to do that. And comments too. Leave comments. Let us know what you think about the 2 assistant coaches that are so far pretty much confirmed. And then what other coaches may be coming later. So with that being said, we thank you for tuning in, and we're done.
subscribe to us if you haven't.